Welcome to FootballGameplan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Cornell Hunter. I'm sitting in with the czar of the playbook, Emery Hunt. Today we're going to be taking a look at the 2009 Cleveland Browns. And Emery, we all know that it starts with the head coach. What do you see happening this year in Cleveland?
Well, in a unique situation when they have a head coach, the new regime comes in and want to switch the defense and the offense and bring in their guys and their players. What Eric Mangini has coming in from the New York Jets, he already has that defensive personnel in place. They ran the 3-4 in New York. They ran it last year in Cleveland, so he doesn't have to do too much on defense. Offensively, he probably wants to, keep a ball control offense, run a lot of, out of three wide receiver sets with a tight end. So he has a lot of pieces in place already for him. So he has a lot of the formula for success already in Cleveland.
And we all know going into this season, the great debate is who's going to be the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. How do you see that shaking out?
Now, right now, quarterback is a weakness for Cleveland. A weakness not because they don't have talent, is because they have uncertainty.
Yeah.
You don't know who's the starter, who's going to be the guy. It's between Brady Quinn, former first-round pick in 2007, and Derek Anderson, who had a phenomenal year in 2007. So you look at those two guys, who's going to be number one. I think Quinn's going to be number one. Quinn has more long-term potential, looking at it from a GM perspective. So they want to go with Quinn early now and get him used to making those mistakes on the field. He did okay last year when he got some time in for Derek Anderson. So I think Quinn is going to win the job, and I think if Mangini was smart, he'll announce that early, and that way he'll get the team going in the right direction under Quinn, get to the timing down, get used to receivers, getting the audibles in order. So I think Quinn is going to win the job, and I think they'll be fine at quarterback.
I agree with you on that. One of the keys in any coaching situation, you want to kill speculation. You don't want your team sitting in speculation. Now, with the running game, we all know Jamal Lewis is a pounder. He's 30 years old. Have they found anyone to back him up, spell him, just in case the worst case scenario happens in Cleveland this year in the running game?
Well, Jamal Lewis, to me, has the credentials. He can be a future Hall of Famer, maybe down the line, not first ballot, but he does need a backup. And Cleveland needed a backup for a long time.
Yeah.
Right now, they don't have anybody of note behind Jamal Lewis, but I do think they drafted a guy in the 6th round, James Davis, out of Clemson.
Yeah.
James Davis, great running back in college, so I think he's going to do just fine spelling Jamal Lewis. He's 5'11", 215, so he has the size. He can block. He can catch the ball out the backfield. He's not a real burner, but he can move the chain. So I think with those two guys, and throwing Jerome Harrison, he's a speedy guy. He can catch the ball out the backfield. So they have a nice rotation now. So I think you're going to see Jamal Lewis get his yards per carry back up to your 4.0s, 4.2s like he did 2 years ago. So I look for Jamal Lewis to have a big year because he has two capable backups now.
Okay, and what about that offensive line in Cleveland? Are they ready to create open lane for him? Are they intact?
I think one thing that goes under look about what they did, they traded back into the first round to take Alex Mack from California, the top-rated center out of college. I love the way he plays. He brings a nastiness to the position, and they already have the perennial Pro Bowler in Joe Thomas. So the left side is solidified. You have Eric Steinbach on the left side as well too. So with those guys on the left side with Alex Mack in the center, that's a good lineup for anybody that's going to be back there quarterbacking. Then you look on Mangini. He brought in Porchai Womack to solidify their right side. So I like the Cleveland Browns offensive line. They already had a good offensive line, but it just got better. And so you're going to see more yards for Jamal Lewis in that running game. The quarterbacks, whoever it is, going to have more time in the pocket to hit those receivers in Cleveland.
Okay, and we all know that in this year's draft, they took 2 receivers. They're going to lose stalwart with the off-the-field issues. How do you see things shaking up? Braylon Edwards is still there in Cleveland when many thought he might be gone. How do you see the receiver position shaking up?
And this may be a case of addition by subtraction, where you take away a guy in stalwart, you lose Jared Vicious, but you gain 2 guys that are young. They can catch with their hands, and they're new to the position. They're new to the organization. So with a new coach, new players, he can coach them and teach them the way he wants to teach them. He can mold them into his own liking. But I like Robisky, son of a coach, reliable, runs good routes, catches the ball with his hands, and always made a big play at Ohio State when he needed it. Massaquoi, a guy that had an up and down career at Georgia, he's going to do okay. He doesn't have to come in and be a number 2. He can be a number 3 guy. But the number 1 guy is Braylon Edwards, and Brell Edwards is a big-time receiver in this league, but he battles with bouts of inconsistency because he drops key passes. And you know, as a number one target, you cannot drop passes and be unreliable. So if he can shake his inconsistency and work hard on his hands, and he just have those mental lapses where he drops those passes, the receiving core will be fine. Now, they lose a big receiving threat in Kellen Winslow. They let him go walk to Tampa. So now they bring in Robert Royal. You have a big drop-off in talent, but he may be more of a blocker, and he can also catch a pass or two, but you're going to lose that dynamic you had with Kellen Winslow.
Yeah, Winslow is going to be a guy that we all know is going to be almost irreplaceable. Now, let's go to the defensive side of the ball. What does Cleveland have on that front line?
Well, the defensive line, they have the big. It all starts up front with Sean Rogers, the big mammoth defensive tackle. He's a nose tackle in the 3-4. He has to command two gaps. Everybody on the defensive line has to hold two gaps. You look at Corey Williams, was hurt last year for a good bit of the season. They get him back, so you should be okay on the defensive line. And they bring in Kenyon Coleman from the Jets. You know, Mangini brought a lot of guys from his old team on that defensive side of the ball. With linebacker, you look at Wembley. You have Cameron Wembley, who had a phenomenal rookie year. Yes. His production dropped off the last 2 seasons, but maybe that was in part to a poor defensive line play. So they bring in, you have DeQuell Jackson, who makes a lot of tackles, guy out of Maryland, makes a gang of tackles. The problem with him, most of his tackles come, 7 or 8 yards down the field. So I need him to be more stout in the box and make some impact tackles. And they bring in Eric Barton to handle that other inside linebacker position in the 3-4 from the Jets. And on the other outside, you look at the fact that he knows the system. Mm-hmm. They bring him in. So you have a guy from the Jets on the defensive line that knows Mangini's system. A guy at the second level, at the linebackers, that knows the system. So the front 7 should be okay.
And what about the back end, the corners and the safeties? They lose Sean Jones to Philadelphia. That had to be a key loss. How do they look at replacing him and the corners that they have in Cleveland?
That's a big loss, losing Sean Jones, because he can be a ball hawk, and he can also bring the pain in the defensive backfield. I love the cornerback Eric Wright, though. Yeah. I like the way he plays. He's aggressive. He's in your face, and he has ball skills where he can make an interception or two. On the other end, Brandon McDonald struggled last year, but he also improved as the season progressed. So hopefully those guys with a more productive pass rush, they can see more success in the back end. Now safety, you lose a Sean Jones, but you have Brady Poole. What's the guy's name?
Roderick Poole, I think.
Roderick Poole. So Oklahoma guy. He was a starter last year, so he's gonna do okay. But strong safety, they bring in another guy from the Jets, Abram Elam, to come in and show up that side, the vacated position with Sean Jones left. So hopefully, with Mangini bringing guys in from the Jets at all 3 levels, they'll be fine. But that's the biggest question mark on defense today is the secondary.
Well, what about the special teams? We all know that they have one of the most dangerous kick returners in the game. Do you see him having continued success in 2009?
He's happy. They gave him a new contract. He's going to be fine. Josh Cribbs is going to be the man on kickoff and punt returns. They have a good kicker in Phil Dawson, great punter in Dave Zassadale. So I think their special team is going to be fine in Cleveland.
You give me the offense, you gave me the special teams, you gave me defense. Tell me where you see the Cleveland Browns finishing up in that tough division this upcoming season.
See, if Cleveland played in the AFC West, you could say Cleveland could challenge for the division. Unfortunately, they draw the luck of playing in the tough AFC North. So they have to compete with, you look at the teams in the division across the board. Pittsburgh won the Super Bowl last year. Ravens were in the AFC Championship game. Cincinnati has vastly improved on both offense and defense. So you look at Cleveland, they might finish last, but that may not be because it wasn't good. Just the fact that everybody else is that much better. So I think they'll finish last in the division between 7 or 8 games, give or take or 2. With a Mangini team, he always has the element of surprise, so they might surprise a team or 2. But I see them finishing last in the division.
Well, I'm sure the people in the dog pound won't be happy with the Czar for that prediction, but tends to call it like he sees it. This is the 2009 Cleveland Browns team preview. I'm Cornell Hunter along with Emery Hunt. Be sure to check footballgameplan.com/NFL for more team analysis and videos.